go. Hi, Professor Slover. This is Josh Sutton and Luke Polakov, and this is our fourth BLA project. The first question was about Edgar Schein's coping mechanisms, which includes friendly helper, tough battler, and objective thinker. Friendly helper is someone who's a little bit insecure about themselves, so they focus a lot on helping other people within the organization. This might be someone who's just hired for a new position, and instead of sort of focusing on bettering their own situation within the company, they spend most of their time trying to help other team members. The tough battler is someone who's frustrated because they don't really feel like they have an identity within the group, and that sort of leads to unhealthy behavior. This might be a salesperson who doesn't feel included as part of the sales force, so they lash out against their other coworkers in an unhealthy way. They might verbally attack them or just do something that shows that frustration they're feeling, I guess. And then the objective thinker finally is someone who tries to focus on reflecting between personal and organization needs. This might be someone who has a family obligation one night, say one of their kids' soccer games or something like that, and they have to sort of balance that with the fact that their boss has asked them to work overtime that same night. They have to sort of reflect on how to best balance that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And transitioning to task activities and maintenance activities, we were asked to compare and contrast. The only comparison that we can come up with is that task and maintenance activities are crucial in completing group projects effectively because of what they do specifically. Task activities deal with specific actions and specific items and specific objects that need to be done or received in order to make the project happen. And then maintenance activities is where the leader supports the team both emotionally and helps them support their interpersonal relationship within the company. And then that kind of relates to cohesiveness, homogeneous, and cohesiveness, heterogeneous. So as a team becomes more homogeneous, cohesion increases. So that might be like two members are 19 years old or 19 and 20. Whereas heterogeneous, as a team becomes more heterogeneous, cohesion decreases. So that would be someone who's a 19-year-old and he's working with a 30-year-old. They're very not similar at all.
Yep. So then the next part was talking about centralized, decentralized, and restrictive communication. Centralized communication is sort of the idea that there's a central focal point with one singular team leader, and the members of that team all report to that team leader, and the team leader reports back to all the members. There's that central focal point. So then decentralized communication is sort of the opposite of that. It's this idea that there's no central leader or central focal point. All the members just sort of communicate with each other willingly and effectively. And then restrictive communication is sort of this idea that members of the team sort of disagree on something, or there's maybe some hostility there, and they sort of limit communication with other team members themselves. It's not necessarily being imposed on them, but they're sort of limiting that communication within their own group.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with that idea in mind, what exactly is the best decision-making tool that companies can use? There's three main decision-making tools that companies can use, and that's majority rule, unanimous, and consensus. Me and Josh agreed that the best one would be consensus. It's because consensus deals with making sure that all the team members have an opinion and have a right to speak in whatever solution is decided on. That makes sure that the company's co-workers feel satisfied. Majority rule relies on voting, so that might leave some people out in the decision-making process. And unanimous, while it would be nice, it's unrealistic to go for unanimous every single time because not everyone is going to agree with the decision that you make, and that oftentimes it needs to be talked about.
Yep, exactly. So then the last question was sort of about the idea of groupthink, and an example of that we came up with was with CLC projects. And a sort of
Yeah.
dynamic as part of a groupthink is when, say, you're doing a CLC project, and instead of being willing to suggest an alternative solution or criticize someone else's solution or their course of action, you sort of value the harmony of the group more than that criticism. And that happens a lot in CLC projects. At least I've noticed that a lot in CLC projects I've been a part of. And an outcome of that groupthink is that oftentimes the grade on the CLC project is like all right, and it's like a good enough grade, but it's not as good as it could have been had those alternative ideas been suggested or implemented in some sort of way. So
Yeah.
groupthink often leads to less good results than they could have been had you considered those alternative actions. And yeah, that's our presentation, Professor Slover. We hope you enjoyed.